Hey, it's Jay, and welcome back to MCU Reviewed, issue number 2. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about episodes 4, 5, and 6 of WandaVision. I have a lot to say, because things are really starting to evolve in this world. Just like last time, I'm going to be just doing a brief plot synopsis, because you guys really should be just watching these episodes on your own. I mainly want to get into my theories as to what I think is going to happen. So let's get started. Episode 4 does an amazing job at explaining why the things that happened in episodes 1, 2, and 3 happened. And we also get to see some familiar faces, like Jimmy Woo from the Ant-Man movies, and Darcy from the Thor movies. But what I mean by that is it explains some things like that helicopter that crashes in Wanda's yard in episode 2. That was actually a sword, I guess, drone, reconnaissance drone that can, get some footage to try to see what's going on. And that's why, the reason why it turns into a helicopter is because once you enter the field of Westview, things change. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. It also explains, it's confirmed that Jimmy Woo was the one who was saying, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda, Wanda. But something really cool that happened in episode 4 is we get a really in-depth look at someone who actually was blipped, that being Monica, because you see her, come back into reality, I guess, after Hulk snapped, and just the chaos that's happening in this hospital, because it's the unfortunate passing of Maria Rambeau. That's why she's in the hospital. Maria didn't get blipped, so she died naturally. But it's crazy to see this hospital just erupt in chaos as everyone starts to come back. And then she heads back to the Sword headquarters to investigate Westview. They on this big anomaly with the leader of Sword, Hayward, who's like the temporary leader, in Maria's absence, but I guess now is like the permanent leader. But yeah, it explains why that beekeeper that I was talking about in the first issue of MCU Reviewed, that's just a Sword agent, but as he passed through the field, he turns into like a beekeeper. And I don't understand why that specific imagery, but I don't know, maybe there's a deeper meaning behind that. But it does a really great job just explaining why things happen the way they do in the first 3 episodes, and as to why it's a sitcom in the first place, because this is just how Wanda is controlling it. And it's really interesting, too, because when Darcy cracks the code and realizes that this is like a 50s and 60s sitcom, she gets a tube TV, and the things that we, the viewers, see aren't seen to the audience of the sitcom. Like when Dottie crushes the cup in that scene where, when she's like, who are you? And you hear Jimmy Woo's voice on the radio and she crushes the cup and she's bleeding. We don't see that, or the audience, again, doesn't see that from the sitcom's point of view. It just cuts back to Dottie saying, how does a housewife get blood out of, white linen or something? She does it herself. We don't see her crush the glass. We don't see that whole break in reality. It's really interesting. So it's almost as if the things that are breaking reality, the audience of this sitcom, the ones that are laughing, doing the laugh track and everything, don't see what we see as the viewers. So that's a really interesting take. But while episode 4 was amazing at explaining all these loose ends that you might have been asking yourself throughout the first 3 episodes, it's episode 5 where things go crazy. Of course, it's revealed that, Geraldine kind of gives away her position by saying, Pietro's killed by Ultron, and Wanda throws her out of reality in a really disturbing scene, because we don't see the full scene unfold, and she gets, thrown through, 5 or 6 structures before she gets launched out of Westview. It's actually really disturbing to see the complete nothing in Wanda's face as she's approaching this horrified woman and blasts her into hell. So episode 5 kicks off. We have the twins, but they were born in 12 hours, or 12 or 14 hours. By the time they were born, they're already 5, and later on they grow into 10-year-olds. It's crazy, and it seems as though Vision is really starting to catch on that, because after episode 4, with that strange conversation he had with Agnes and Herb, he's really starting to catch on that something's not right, and someone, namely Wanda, isn't telling him everything. And so, Vision, because Wanda just uses her powers right in front of Agnes, and Vision's like, what the heck? We agreed on not showing our powers. Why'd you do that? And earlier on in the episode, Vision's like, Vision has that, paranoid parent, feel when Agnes, wants to hold Billy and Tommy, and Vision's, like, did you wash your hands? When's the last time you sanitized? Well, maybe we shouldn't. Agnes just goes to Wanda and she's like, should I do that take again? And Vision's like, what was that about? And Wanda just is completely ignorant to it, obviously, because, Agnes just wants to make sure she's pleasing Wanda. So Vision's going on like a search, and he's actually able to hack into like S.W.O.R.D's files, with the help of everyone on the outside at S.W.O.R.D. And it's a really creepy scene where everyone in Vision's workspace, just like in a cultish way, start reading this algorithm that's coming up on their computers. And Vision realizes that he can use his powers to kind of unlock the true person lying underneath the pantomime that's in Wanda's reality. And it's a really disturbing scene when Norm's like, I gotta call my sister. What's going on? Just help us. You have to stop her. Like, it's horrible. So a really, really horrifying scene comes on when, Vision finally confronts Wanda about this. There's a subplot where Billy and Tommy have a dog, and it dies in the same episode. And Wanda is a very big hypocrite, but I'll get to that in a second. So Vision is enraged that Wanda's lying to him about what's going on, because Vision has no recollection of anything that's happened before WandaVision. So Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, Age of Ultron, nothing. He doesn't remember any of it. And so he's trying to figure out like what's going on, and Wanda just refuses to tell him. Wanda's like, this is your home. This has always been your home. I've always been your wife. Those are your kids. There's nothing else. And it's just very frustrating and frustrating and frustrating. And it's back to that point I just made about Wanda being a hypocrite. It's revealed that Wanda stormed a S.W.O.R.D. facility 9 days prior to the first episode of WandaVision and stole Vision's body that I guess was being worked on, but we don't know for what. I'm sure they'll elaborate on that in a future episode, but it seems as though Wanda has stolen the body, because later on in the episode, she has like a jolt in like reality and sees Vision as the corpse that we saw in Infinity War. It's a really disturbing scene. But Wanda's a hypocrite because Billy and Tommy are like, just bring the dog back to life, Mom. Like, just do that. And Wanda's like, we can't bring things back from the dead, as much as we want to. And it's like, whoa, time out. You're bringing Vision back from the dead and causing him to live in this false reality that nothing before this has ever happened. She's trying to do the same thing that Steve did to Tony and spare Vision from finding out that he's dead. Same thing that Cap did, trying to spare Tony from the reality that Bucky killed his parents. It's kind of the same situation here, and that just doesn't work. You have to let these people know these things. And it just leads to this frustration. However, the big twist that happens in episode 5 is that there's a knock on the door, and Wanda's like, I didn't say anybody should do that, because Vision's like, I know you're controlling everything, and Wanda, denies it completely, and she's like, see, I didn't do that, and then rings the doorbell again, and it's revealed to be Pietro, but not the Pietro we know. I'm not going to say who until I get to my theories, because, I want that, just in case you haven't seen the episode yet, I highly recommend, after I get through the synopsis of the episode, actually, no, just stop watching now, because obviously this character appears in the next episode. So stop watching, watch the episode, then come back. You won't hurt my feelings. So episode 6 comes around, and it's the Halloween Spooktacular. The thing that we've been seeing in all the trailers, where Wanda and Vision are in their classic comic book outfits. It's such a funny nod. And now we're in the 90s, because I forgot to say, episode 4 doesn't really change time periods, because it's just going back and explaining episodes 1, 2, and 3. But then, obviously, episode 5, we're in the 80s. And then episode 6, we're in the 90s now. And it's completely parodying Malcolm in the Middle. Even down to Billy and Tommy breaking the fourth wall and talking directly to the camera like, life is really strange in this household. You got Mom, who's, and, cuts to Mom doing something weird, or cuts to Dad doing something weird. Even Pietro gets into his classic Quicksilver getup. And it's a really funny nod, too, because even Tommy and Billy, who I said last time become Wiccan and Speed in the comics, get in their Wiccan and Speed outfits as well. I noticed that right away, and I was like, you did the thing. You did the thing. But Vision has his own motive. So Wanda's expecting Vision to go trick-or-treating with his sons, but he has a different motive. He goes to do neighborhood watch stuff, but he's actually going to go investigate because, yeah, Vision's kind of playing along at the beginning of the episode, but I think that's just to, keep Wanda off his scent. So he goes off to do his own investigating of this Westview town. And he's discovering that people on the Outer Banks aren't moving at all. They are frozen in place. And in a really disturbing scene, there's a woman who's literally hanging up Halloween decorations, but then you see the footage stop, bring it back, and this is all she's doing, but you see a tear rolling down her face. So that just tells us that she's completely aware that she's stuck in this limbo of just putting up this Halloween decoration until Wanda tells her to do something else. It's so fucking scary. And Vision's like, what is going on? And he sees Agnes's car at the, I guess you could say, the barrier of Westview, Ellis Ave, in which Wanda tells the kids, Billy and Tommy, to never go to. And he sees Agnes, and he uses his vision power to, to hatch Agnes, the real Agnes. And she's like, oh my god, you're an Avenger, you're here to help us. But Vision doesn't know who the Avengers are because he doesn't have any recollection of being an Avenger. And he's like, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And she's like, am I dead? Because you're dead. So the truth finally comes out to Vision that he is dead. And Vision goes to walk towards Westview's border, I guess. And Tommy and Billy are actually developing their powers throughout this episode too, where Tommy is super speed and Billy has the ability to sense things and has kind of like a telepathic power. So they're starting to develop those powers, and he senses that something is wrong. And Wanda, in panic, enlarges Westview's perimeter. And this is all because, SWORD is still doing their research, and Vision's trying to leave this border, but he's coming apart. He can't survive outside because obviously he's dead outside of Westview. And Hayward's up to something. I don't like that guy literally at all. So now Westview is taking up even more people and even more surface area. So it's what is going to happen next episode? Who knows? I think this is going to be where Wanda is starting to turn into a full-fledged villain. But theory time! So, that big reveal that I was talking about, it's Pietro, yes, but it's Evan Peters, not Aaron Taylor Johnson. And if you don't know who Evan Peters is, he plays Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, as in the Fox X-Men movies. So that was just completely out of nowhere. I was watching with some friends and we were screaming. It was funny because when the doorbell rang the second time, I just made an offhand comment oh, what if it's Pietro at the door? Because there was a lot of motif of Pietro being mentioned, with the last episode with I Was a Twin, and then where where Wanda's kids asked, do you have a brother? And so I was just as a joke, I was like, what if it's Pietro? And then I saw the white hair and I was like, fucking stop. And then I saw Evan Peters and I was done. That was insanity. But a lot of theories online are stating that that's not Pietro. That's Mephisto. Now, I believe I brought up Mephisto in the last one, but if I didn't, I'll bring it up again. Mephisto had a huge hand in giving Wanda those kids, because obviously even if Vision was alive and aware of everything that happened before, he still can't procreate. So, of course, they use Mephisto, who's literally Satan, because you gotta have some sort of demonic or supernatural outside force doing something like making a woman pregnant and 14 hours later delivering two babies, So a lot of people think that that's Mephisto trying to keep Wanda in check, because you can see in episode 5 she's also really slowly losing control of this town because Vision's starting to come onto it, and she knows that the sword people are on her ass. So I think she's slowly starting to kind of losing control of everything, because it's a lot of power. And I think that's why everyone on the Outer Banks is stopped, because she doesn't have that much power. She hasn't untapped that potential. And then at the end of the episode of 6, when she grows the perimeter, I think now she's fully unleashed and scary, and I don't know what's going to happen to Wanda. So that's the Mephisto theory, but of course this could also lead into the multiverse of madness theory, because, as I stated last time, this ties directly into Doctor Strange 2. which I'm hoping Benedict Cumberbatch makes an appearance in maybe the last episode of WandaVision, just so that we can get that connection, because I feel like he has to. They've made it clear several times at either Comic-Con or the Investors Day that this was a direct tie into that. So I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch has to make some sort of appearance here in this show. So that could also be a nod to the multiverse, where this is the X-Men from Fox coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know. They keep hinting at it too, because, you know, Wanda asks Pietro in episode 6, where's your accent? And Pietro's like, well, where's yours? Because Wanda doesn't have the accent at all in WandaVision. And if you've watched the movies that Wanda is in, her accent slowly starts to decrease. In Infinity War, it's barely there. So that could... I have no idea what that could mean. But all I know is that some exciting stuff is happening. It's interesting, too, because Darcy, Wu, and Monica are kicked off the site in episode 6 for being obtrusive to the mission. I fucking hate Hayward so much. That man, he is scum, and I hope something horrible happens to him. But he had an ulterior motive to kick him off, and Monica's aware of that. So they do some scheming, obviously. And Darcy tries to help Vision when he's coming through the border, and they handcuff her to make sure she can't do anything, because I think that Hayward might have been using Vision to make weapons, because, you know, he is made of vibranium, and we've all seen from Black Panther how powerful vibranium weapons can be. So that's what I think his motive was, and that's why, because they have this tracking beacon, and Hayward's tracking Vision and not Wanda, which is kind of confusing. I don't know what Hayward's motive is for trying to vilify Wanda. Of course, she's kind of playing right into his hand, but he's been thinking she's a villain this entire show, even citing, you know, Lagos, all the way back at Lagos, which, by the way, the commercials are great, too. We don't have one in episode 4, because, again, that's just an explanation. But episode 5, you have Lagos brand paper towels and the tagline, for messes you didn't want to make, which is hilariously genius because of Civil War, where Wanda had no intention of blowing up that building. It just happened because she still was new to her power. She didn't really know how to control it. And then she causes this accident. So that was hilarious. And then episode 6's commercial was just so trippy. So trippy. And it's this kid who's stranded on an island, and this radical 90s shark comes out and gives him like this yogurt. And it's like called like Magic, and this kid can't get it open, and he literally dies. He becomes a freaking skeleton. A lot of theories on the internet are saying that that's, you know, an example of Wanda struggling, because, you know, when she's talking with Pietro in Town Square, she's like, I just remember having this empty feeling, and like I was all alone. And I think that's what it's simulating, Wanda trying to get that happiness back, but she just can't open it, and succumbs to that loneliness, becomes a hollow shell of what we know Wanda to be. And that's a really interesting theory. We'll have to see how that holds true. It was just a really weird commercial, but it had such a 90s vibe, and it was amazing. Yeah, I don't know, but back to what I was saying, Darcy's handcuffed to this car. She gets absorbed by Westview. So I don't know what's going to happen with poor Darcy, but it's also revealed that Monica's cells, something's wrong with them, because she's gone through that barrier twice. She wants to go back in. She has this guy who can help her get in, which I hope that this guy is a character that is completely out of left field. You know, a character that we had no idea that Monica even had a connection with. I hope that that's the case. But, yeah, it should be very interesting. I just don't know what's going to happen with Darcy, but back to what I was saying, Monica's cells are acting very strange. And this is probably a theory that she's going to become a superhero, because, you know, in the comics, she's a superhero. So that's probably leading into that. Just a lot of crazy stuff is happening. But the ending of episode 6 pisses me off for one reason. It's only because, like, you're going to leave it off at that. Because, you know, Wanda makes Westview grow. She makes it grow, and her eyes open. They're red, all red. And then the episode just ends. And it's like, no, I can't wait till next Friday to see what the hell's going to happen with this. I have no idea. I am having a blast with this show. It has gotten consistently better with each episode. I still think episode 5 takes the cake for me, being the best episode in the series, just with that amazing amazing reveal. I would be satisfied if Pietro was the key to the multiverse, or if Pietro was the key to Mephisto and how all of this is coming to be. I'd be happy with either solution. We'll just have to wait and see. I cannot wait for episodes 7, 8, and 9 so I can finally wrap up this show and just talk in detail as to what I think, how it's going to impact all of the MCU coming down the line. Of course, we just got a new trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier that I'm super hyped for. I love their banter in that trailer, so I can't wait to see that relationship between those two, because it's always been like rocky ever since Civil War. So I'm super pumped for that. I think that the TV shows, I feel like the TV shows are probably going to be way better than even the movies. That's just my prediction, but we'll have to wait and see, because Marvel has stated they have no intention of putting Black Widow on Disney Plus first. So it's probably going to get delayed again, and then by that point, no one's going to care about the movie. As long as you keep giving me TV shows, and if nothing gets delayed, we are looking at a stacked year for MCU content. There's like 4 movies and like 7 TV shows coming out this year. It's insane. But other than that, I have nothing else to say. Please, 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 if you haven't seen these episodes yet, watch them. You're not going to regret it. If you're one of those people, again, who was hating on the first episode or the first 2 episodes, you have to start watching, because I feel like you will be opened up to it with how they're handling this. That's all I have to say about it. Watch it. I highly recommend it. I'll give my rating for the show after episode 9. But until then, you guys can look forward to 2 more episodes of the Star Wars Chronicle coming next week, where I'll just look at more Clone Wars episodes. And yeah, wait for the next issue of MCU Reviewed. Until that next time, guys, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, all that, all that stuff. It helps me out. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. Until that next time, guys, that's a wrap.